Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hot Topics, the show, the podcast. My name is Gloria Goldberg, the founder of the podcast Unbreakable Life with Glory, where I talk about depression, anxiety, and PTSD in a natural way and a holistic way to always make you feel better. And next to me, like always, my beautiful co host, Kia Baker.
Hi, everybody. Well, I'm sure you know me by now. But if you don't, my name is Kia Baker. I am the creator and host of the Female Veterans Podcast, the upcoming video series, Women Warrior Stories for the Veterans Channel, and of course, success coach at London Real Academy, where our fearless leader has just reported that he is in second place for Mayor of London. So if you are in
What?
London, and I know a lot of you are, go and vote for Brian Rose. Okay. Say
Wow.
that. I know. So,
I didn't know that.
yeah,
Wow.
I just saw it today. I'm so proud of him. So proud of him.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. So today we have a really incredible guest, and I don't want to spend too much time because we usually chit chat a little bit before we bring our guest in, but I want to make sure that we can talk to her for a while because she's
Yes.
absolutely incredible. I have known her for more years than I want to admit being alive. No, I'm just kidding. I've known her for a really long time. We were both in the Navy together. So she's a United States Navy veteran
Wow.
as well, another strong female veteran. And she was a lot of fun to serve with, really a cool girl. And what she has evolved into after a
Mm-hmm.
20-year military career, 20 years in the military, right? Also completed her education, has an MA, still studying creative writing because she's a writer.
Right.
She is such an amazing force to be reckoned with, right? She wrote this book, and I had the privilege of being a beta reader for it. It was called She Had a Name, and this book was about her mother's murder and by a serial
Wow.
Yes, by a serial killer. And she can correct me when she comes on, but I think the serial killer writes to her to this day. So, I mean, it's like a big, big story, right? And she does so many things to help people who have suffered traumas and tragedies in their life. And
Mm-hmm.
she's writing a true crime memoir right now. And she just most recently has completed a chapter in a new book, but we're going to talk about more about that later. And so I thought she would be really incredible. I know I always bring on my students and friends from London Real Academy, but sometimes I got to mix it up, right?
Yes, of course. Yeah, of course. I'm 100% with that.
So, without further ado, I want you to meet this incredible woman, Mindy Jaffar, and see what she's all about and hear her incredible story and how she overcame literally getting her soul ripped out of her body, her gut trampled on after she found out that her mother was killed.
Oh my God. Must
It's
be.
powerful.
There
Hi,
she is.
guys.
Hi. So,
Hi.
welcome to Hot Topics Live.
Thank you
Tell
for
us.
having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So tell us, where are you right now?
I'm in Arizona. I'm in
Mm.
Arizona. That's where I retired from the Navy. So, yeah, it's warm and beautiful, but I miss the cold. But I'm in Arizona.
So, how are you
Awesome.
managing through the pandemic there?
Um, you know, I've been through worse. I mean, honestly, I have. There's just so many different outlooks about the pandemic. The two words that I really started using a long time ago were you have to find the place where faith meets sensibility. You have to be sensible, and then also really practice a faith for me anyway, right? And so we're doing okay. We're doing okay. I mean, you just roll with it. Nothing will ever last forever. I don't know. I think you just get through things.
I agree. I find myself
Yeah.
Yes.
telling people, remember your training. Other vets, remember your training. You got this. You know,
Oh,
remember your
I
training.
there's been worse. There's been worse than this. it's all a mindset too. I mean, and there's times where it's frustrating or scary or sad or lonely. And then you take risks and then you don't take a risk and then you take the risk and then you don't take a risk. And we're just, I mean, you know what I mean? There's not a lot of choices. So you just do what you choose what's best for you in the moment, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I forgot our disclaimers because I was so excited to see.
Me too.
So, typically we will say if you're not 18, then you should click off because you never know what we're going to be talking about. And the subject matter in this episode can be somewhat sensitive. So if you're not 18, you might want to click off, but if your parents are around, that should probably be up to them.
Right.
And also, the opinions of our guests are not necessarily always reflective of our own. However, we support their right to say them. That's what we stand for.
That's beautiful.
Wow, thank you. And so, Gloria,
Yes.
why don't you start asking Mindy questions today? You have a question for Mindy?
Yes, Mindy, I just find out that you had a collaboration with a book and you have a chapter on that book, and the name of the chapter is Her Love. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So one of my good friends here, she's a nonprofit and is doing really great things. And she messaged me one day and said, "Hey, I was asked if I want to collaborate and write in a book, and I don't like to write, but I know you do, and you're good at it. Do you want to do it?" So she connected me with this woman here named Tara Ijai, and it just kind of happened. Like we talked, and she said, "Well, what I'm doing is putting together a book with I think there's 52 or 53 different authors, and it's about love because we need more love. The world needs more love." And she had this incredible opportunity to do this. So she said, I said, "Well, what do you want me to write about love?" And she said, "An experience, how you view it, how you feel it, whatever you want." And I thought, right now I'm just about completed with my book proposal for my passion project. And I thought it was important to stay on that theme because love, I've experienced it in so many different ways as a mom, as a wife, as a friend, as a sister. But I thought I'm going to stick with my mom for now. And so I just sat down one night and wrote. It's a very small chapter. I think it's three and a half pages, maybe. Um, and I thought, well, what does love mean to me, or where did I experience it, or where did I learn it? And so then I wrote this chapter about her and how I perceived her love, and it's a lot about. I could, you know what? Do you want me to read you a tiny little section? Okay,
Yes.
hold on. I'm really excited. This Sunday is our first book signing and maybe even a book reading. And so I made these really cool bookmarks. I'll have to send you one in the mail. And I asked a friend, a really good friend, actually the one who hooked me up with Tara. I said, tell me a quote from here that you like. And so I'm going to read this part to you really quickly. And my chapter is called Her Love. It starts on page 82. And let me see if I can do this one-handed. So this is what I put on the book. I often wondered what kept me hopeful and completely devoted to her. And the answer is quite simple. It was love. And I talk about just that a grudge was never something I could hold on to. Right. And her love just always seemed um, to pass by and to trump any kind of hurt I was feeling or experiences that I wasn't receiving as a child that I thought I should have. And then I talk about how she spent her life trying to reconcile, but the beauty was that it was reconciled every moment she showed up, you know? And so it's really about that. I wrote about that, and just, love shows up in many ways. And for me, it was her words. For me, her love when I was little was her words, because I said the alternate reality was bad. And so her words were what I said. It was like, oh shit handle. I clung to those words. And I said, if you tell me you love me, I believe you. If you tell me I'm pretty, I stand a little taller, because that's what I got when I was little. And then she showed me in so many ways. So that's what I talk about in this chapter.
Well, that's beautiful. And I know that when I was beta reading for you, the first few chapters to me were really, really powerful. The way you talk about your upbringing and the time that you spent with your mother and how you saw her from your eyes was really, really powerful to me. So, can we talk a little bit about your mom
Yeah.
Yeah.
and honor her a little bit here?
Yes.
She was an amazing, strong woman, what I learned.
She became strong. She became strong. Yeah. Yeah. Do you want me to just go ahead and tell you a little bit about her?
Go right for
And
it.
I know something about your mom. Your mom gave a tarts to one of your sisters or brothers. She used to get tarts that is full of chemicals, but she used to give you that, and she also used to smoke a lot.
Did your research.
Yeah, I did it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. Yes, she was a smoker. She was very petite, really beautiful, big, big blue eyes, wore minimal makeup, a huge smile like Julia Roberts. Um, when she was young, I mean, the men would literally break their necks looking at her, and just really beautiful. But she grew up really hard life and was on the streets by, you know, her teen years. And I have a sister that she gave up for adoption that I got to meet. We found her, actually a cousin found her after my mom had died, but I still found her. She's got my mother's eyes. She's so beautiful. And but anyway, she gave her up for adoption, I think at 16, and then had me at 18. And was really just trying to find somewhere to love, be loved, and belong. And I say that in this chapter, like the tacky, deceptive bars in Anchorage, you know, couldn't hold her. You know what I mean? She'd spend time there, but we all know, you know, looking for love in the wrong places sometimes, all the time, if it's the wrong place, doesn't work out. But she just, I was taken from her, and she was broken in so many ways. And, you know, I don't know that she was ever an alcoholic or drug addict. I think that it was just something she did. It was the 70s and early 80s. And because as soon as she stopped, she just stopped. But she was very defeated and broken. And then after that, it was a turning point when she moved from Alaska to Texas. Things just changed. And then she had my sister, who is my heart and soul. And by then, she became a woman who was like, I don't need a man. I don't. And I don't want one. And my sister's father, when she was pregnant, said, oh, well, you know, okay, well, do you want to get married? Do you want to do that? And she said, no, no, I don't want any of that. I'm gonna have my baby. And she never had a lot of money. Well, she barely had money. That she was always, you know, like I was telling my stepdaughter today, and I said, there's a lot of places in Washington that I never saw because we were so broke. She had money for gas to get to work. We didn't go on road trips. We didn't do any of that. And so I got to go live with her my high school years, but she had my sister, and she was just so proud to not need anybody anymore, to not have to stay in someone's house, to not have to borrow money. And I think it shut her down too, all the hurt that she had been through. She didn't have friends. She just really spent the rest of her life being a good mom to my sister and providing structure and, you know, raising an incredible human. Um, and we were just really close. I just was obsessed with her. As a matter of fact, Kia, I was working in the dental clinic doing OJT to go to dental assisting school, and the chief there pulled me aside and said, "You know, I heard you on the phone with your mom, and I'm worried." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "It sounds like you send money home and you help out, and it sounds like you are really responsible for her and your sister. And I want you to know that you need to live your own life." And I thought, who is she to tell me this?
Mm.
And I just thought there's no way. I'm perfectly fine doing what I'm doing. And my mom never asked. I did it because I wanted to. You know, I wanted to buy my sister's coat, or I wanted to. We were just very close, and it was just us three girls. So she became very strong, very independent. And she also was a really, really generous and kind person. So she smoked her cigarettes. So she'd go for walks and smoke her cigarette and pick up trash and always, you know, pick up litter. There was this old man that she would feed because he was just an old man that really didn't leave his apartment. And she'd clear it out and bring him food and make him eat, and always helping people. And it wasn't really with money. She didn't have money, but it was with her love, you know? her love. And so she just was everything to me. Oh, I loved her so much, and we were so close. And when I had Maddie, my daughters are both biracial. I had Maddie, and she was so proud of her. And my grandmother was very, very racist and disappointed in me and things like that. And one day my mom went to her house to clean and help her garden, and she saw my daughter's picture had been removed from the picture frame. And my mom said, "Where is the baby's picture?" And my grandmother said, "God damn, that baby was black," and took it out and just wouldn't display it. Uh-huh. And my mom was heartbroken and bawled and called me crying and crying and crying. I said, "Mom, that doesn't hurt me. Don't let that hurt you." Like, you know what I mean? We're not her. That's okay. That she can be, but my mom was very hurt. And she just was good, a good heart. She did become very strong and very closed off, but she did that for herself. She needed to do that for herself, for her protection, for her emotions, and for everything else. So um, that's why it's bizarre the night she was murdered. It's just,
Mi-
yeah.
Mindy, how she was broken? Do you know what was the cause for her to be like that?
Yeah, her mother died when my mom was, I think, 9 months old or 6 months old. She was a baby. And so all the kids, there were 7 kids, they were left in different foster homes. However, who I referred to as my grandmother is really my mom's biological uncle and his wife. They adopted my mom and then eventually adopted all the kids. So they did what they thought was right, but they missed the mark on love and adoration and affection and those things. And my mom, all of them had ended up running away and leaving home. And so she was really just, she didn't receive love. She never received love. And so
Mhm.
she ended up on the streets and in different bad situations. And then my dad kind of saved her, but also it hurt her. My dad ended up really hurting her. And so, next thing you know, she couldn't keep a job and she's staying on this person's couch. And I was taken from her. And as a mom, that will kill you. And so, and then drugs and alcohol and probably self-esteem and a lot of other things.
Wow, a lot for her.
Hmm.
That's a really rough, a
Oof.
really rough beginning. The foster system. I was actually in the foster system. A lot of people don't know that when I was very
Hmm.
young, and I was fortunate because I didn't have as horrible of an experience as you can have. But it is rough. It's rough to be taken from your family and everything and to be put somewhere with strangers and have to adapt, right? Um,
And the rejection. So in that moment, you feel rejection, and you carry
and
that rejection.
and all of those things, right? So that stuff forms
Yeah.
attachment styles and all of that affect your relationships going forward,
Mhm.
romantically. So
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think that when you go through trauma of any kind, and trauma is relative, I believe, right? How we respond to it and how we work through it, but um, there is a different strength that women carry who have been through trauma. It's very, very different, I think, and it's sacred. Our independence and strength is very sacred because we know what it feels like to not have security or have a pleasant, relaxed, comfortable life. I mean, it's like what we all want to give our children. It's
Mhm.
what we wanted. It's what we want to give. But when you don't have that or you've been through something hard, and of course she had been raped, and I mean, just all the things you can think of she had been through. She was, hardened for sure by it, but a loving and affectionate mom.
Mm.
Well, she knew the difference, and like Kia said all the time, that she was in an abuse childhood, and she don't want that for her kids. And maybe your mom was the same way. She was hardcore in another way, but for her own kids, no,
Mhm.
don't even touch them.
Yes, yes. As a matter of fact, she was finally dating somebody. It was Thanksgiving. I had already joined the military and I called and said, "Well, where is he?" And she said, "Oh, I made him leave." And I said, "Why? Like, you're finally in a relationship. That's amazing." And she goes, "No. And then she goes, I don't need anybody, Mindy. And I said, okay, but what happened? Do you not like him anymore? And she said, you know what? He made your sister sit at the dining room table and eat her dinner. And I said, she doesn't have to finish her dinner. And he said, she needs to sit there and finish her dinner. And she said, and I looked over and my baby had fallen asleep at the table. And I looked at him and I said, get your shit and get out. And he said, over what? And she said, over that. Over that. And it was things that she said, I don't give a shit. And she cussed. Oh, she was cussed like sailor. And she made him leave. And she just didn't care. It was like, you don't get to control this child. You know what I mean? She'd already lost two. You don't get to control this one. And my baby doesn't have to sit and finish her damn food at the table. You got to go. That was it. And that was it.
Wow.
And that was nothing. That wasn't even that important, but to her,
strong.
Yeah.
It was important to her. I can totally understand that.
Oh, me too.
It was important.
I vibe 1,000% with your mom's determination. To be honest with you, I could see myself doing something like that. Believe me.
Me too.
Because I'm a new single mom, right? So you can't just come in here and try to regulate on and supersede me on the rules for my kids. Oh gosh, this is why I'm going to be single for like ever.
It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
No,
I
enjoy it.
Yeah. I loved being single too, but I love being married.
Hey, Angeline. Oh my gosh, thanks for tuning in, girl. I know you're going to love this episode. You too, Tendai. I see you.
Oh, Tendai is here. Oh, I started coming
Oh, so you're loving it. Good. Well, we're going to ask Mindy some more questions because you know what? Her mother's episode was on a show called Shattered. She had an episode dedicated to her story, and this was on Investigation ID. So I want to talk a little bit about that, Mindy, because when I was reading your book, I'm going to try to say this without getting emotional because it was emotional for me then, and it just stuck, right? That's how you know it's good writing, okay? Plus it's true, and the true ones really just get in there. So one of the things that I found really, really compelling about it, and I actually, to be honest with you, read this and then had to put it down for like a week because I just needed some time. But it was when you found out that something had happened to your mother. Could you share a little bit of that story?
You mean the night that I found out?
Yes.
Yeah. So for anybody who's watching, I've completed my manuscript, and actually a lot of it's been revised since you read it. And I'm nearly done with my proposal. So I'll be querying an agent really soon. Agents. I think it's either chapter 1 or it's one of the first chapters. And I had not been able to contact her for 3 days. And we talked all the time and every day, and if not multiple times a day. And it was 2001, so we didn't have FaceTime or anything like that, but we called all the time. So day 3, I had been through different scenarios where it was like, she's a grown up, it's fine, to something doesn't feel right. And this doesn't make sense. I know where she goes, what she does. I mean, she was very routine. She knows if the shower curtain's been open, curtains. And so I couldn't figure it out. There was just no answer for where she could have been and then where my sister was. So it was a Sunday evening and I went to sleep, and then the door opened and my ex-husband, my husband at the time, said, your sister's on the phone. And it kind of jarred me. And I thought, why would my sister be on the phone? It's late and she's 11. So I get on the phone and I'm like, hey, where's mom? And she said, Mindy, mom's dead. And I said, put her on the phone. I was pissed because I thought they were joking. Like they had heard all the voice mails or, messages that I had left, and I even on one of them said, where are you? Are you alive? Like what's going on? And, so she goes, no, Mindy. And her voice was shaky. And she said, mom's dead. And I said, stop it. Put her on the fucking phone. Like put her on the phone now. And she just wouldn't. And then I'm like, stop. stop messing around. Like, put her on the phone. I don't think it's funny. I'm pissed off at you guys. Like, it's been all week and I haven't been able to hold her. I'm like going mad. And all of a sudden I hear a man's voice, and she didn't have a man in her life. And it was Elisa's father. And he said, "I'm so sorry." And I just thought, it's real. Like, I don't even know. So then I think I hung up the phone, and I just like ran outside and was just screaming. Like, I just wanted to like hurt myself, but it was grass. I'm like, I can't hurt myself on grass. I'm running. And then I don't know. I just didn't know what to do. I'm like pacing. I just, all of a sudden I felt like I was 5, and like, who was going to take care of me? My mom's dead. And then it was just bad. It was a horrible night, of course. And it was a horrible 3 days. But that night, maybe the next night, I don't know. I do talk about that morning I went to church, and I was pretty new at going to church. But I liked it. It made me feel good. I felt hope. I felt like I had purpose. So anyways, and I don't know if you ever go to church, but there's so many times you go to church and you're like, I don't even know what we just talked about, or what just happened. Who knows? And that morning, the pastor, it was this little all black church. I mean, I was the only white person. It was this little church right there in North Chicago. And I loved it. And the pastor said, "You know how you grow in your faith?" And he said, "You grow in your faith through trials." And truly, even, if you ask a yogi, like, pain is the way. Unfortunately, pain is the way. And so when I finally stopped screaming and crying, and my best friends came over and held me, and I cried and tried to figure out in my head, and was so worried about my sister and just all the different emotions. And I went to the side of my bed. It was a little tiny sliver between the wall and my bed. And I got on my body and like my face. And I thought about ramming my forehead into the tile and breaking my forehead. I thought about doing that, and thought about like anything to take that pain away. I'd never felt that before. But then I had a daughter, and I knew that I had to live for her, and that she needed me, but I didn't want to. And I had a sister that needed me because I was her other parent. Remember, my mom didn't remarry. But I thought about what it might feel like if I could crush my forehead against that tile. And then I did remember the pastor and how he said, and I just prayed, and I said, "God, you just have to carry me, because I won't be able to do this." And I was carried. For 3 days, I couldn't breathe. I just couldn't function. And then I got there. I got to Washington. And that day, once I got to my sister, and she just ran to me and buried her face in my body. And she said, "What are we going to do without Mom? I just want Mom back." It was so sad. My heart breaks still for her. And I just said, okay, well, as a mom, you just go, okay, well, we're going to get through it. We're going to be okay. And I didn't cry anymore. I didn't cry for those 2 or 3 weeks. I buried her. I cleaned out her apartment. I got custody of my sister. I just did everything I needed to do. I cried the day of the funeral, of course. And I cried watching my sister just sit at that coffin, wanting it to not be true. It's so hard for a child to lose their mom. And I just thought, what am I going to do for the rest of my life to take care of her? How can I be as close to Mom as possible? And then we moved forward. Sorry. It's hard. So that was that night. It was the worst night of my life. It really was. And that's why, and you asked me how the pandemic's going. I'm like, oh, it's easy. Oh, it's easy. It's easier than anything else to me. It's easier than a diagnosis that I have cancer, which I don't. I'm just saying if I had that. It's easier than losing a child. It's easier than losing my mom. Um, get
Perspective.
through it. You know, I have my baby.
Perspective,
Yeah,
right?
for me. Yeah.
So we talk about the winning perspective a lot of times, and that's a winning perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know that a lot of our viewers are in Europe right now, and they're going into lockdown 2.0, and it's
Okay.
a lot, right? It's a lot,
It
but
is.
we talk about, the winning perspective, and what you just said, that's a winning perspective. When you look at it through that lens, you can get through another lockdown, and you're going to be okay.
You can. I really, truly, truly believe that no matter what the situation is, if you look, if you look for glory, if you look for something in it, not maybe not in the moment, but you keep looking, you keep searching for that, you'll find it. You really will find the other side, I think.
I agree.
Oh, man. So I hear before that your mom was killed by a serial killer.
Yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So um uh that night that she was killed, she met him that night and he killed her. There are many women that have been raped, um, killed by him, and two that are still missing, two that we know of. And not one of them has he ever been charged with, only my mom. And so that there's a lot of revelations that came through writing this. And so I don't want to talk too much about it because I was told by a really great author to not promote that yet too much. I
Right.
want to because it's my heart, but I just don't know. I mean, what I really want is people to fall in love with me. I want people to connect with me because then the day that I find an agent who finds a publisher and we put this book out, people will already be connected, you know, and that's really what I'm doing right now.
Mm.
That's awesome.
It's beautiful. And I think that you're very easy to connect with, Mindy. I've always felt that way. And this story is really, it gets in there. That's the only way I can say it, because I think a lot of us can understand the loss of a loved one and how it impacts you. And then all layers to this, right?
The layers, there's layers. And one of them, Kia, we talked about before is also how I started to understand our rape culture and how a woman's lifestyle can truly prevent her from getting justice and all these things I started to unravel in my own mind and in our society. And so I do talk about the victims that I know of. And, you know, I was able to talk to his ex-wife and his daughter who also live with shame because, you know, I mean, just there's so much compassion that I've gained through this. So
It's amazing.
It
That's amazing.
is.
And so he was convicted,
he
thank God.
was, yes,
And so it actually in a way, if I can draw a parallel to Vanessa Guillen, right? It
mm-hmm.
sort of makes me think of this because we're both female veterans and we're talking about rape culture. And in the military, speaking of, it's November, Veterans Day is coming up, so I'm gonna just go there for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
There's a almost kind of a rape culture in the military in a way. And women are often afraid to report, as Vanessa was afraid to report. And she was murdered on the base.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing about that story is, without that happening and without her family fighting for justice, the changes that are being made now wouldn't be being made. So it's like, of course, is a horrible thing to happen,
Right.
but because of her, because of
Yeah.
her sacrifice, a lot of
Right.
women's lives are going to be impacted in a positive way. And the same
Right.
thing for your mom, I think.
Yes, that's
So,
what I think. That's what I think too. Right. Yeah, I think it's the last sentence in my book, and it's about that, and it's really, yeah, I see it so differently from 19 years ago, and then all the in between years that I tried not to think about it too much. But um, right, pain is the way, like it is, and it's sad, but that is where growth or justice. And then I'm like, well, is there any such thing as justice in murder? There's not, because that's not an equal, there's not an equal. It's not, oh, she was murdered so he got prison, and that, like, I really would love to unpack what justice really means someday, because I don't think there is justice in that. But thank God he is in prison and that he can't hurt anybody anymore. For sure. I feel safer, and I
mm,
mean, we can only imagine how many more women he could have hurt if he would have not been convicted of that. But
yeah, it's terrifying to think about.
Mindy, do you forgive him for what he did?
oh, it's so funny you asked that, because he wrote us a letter, and it was all about forgiveness, and he didn't ask for it, but it seemed like it was the first time there was any sign of admission. But anyway, um, I had to study what that word meant, because I never felt anything towards him. I never felt um, anything. I just felt so sad. I missed my mom. I wanted my mom. So I'm so indifferent to him, if that makes any sense. I just don't even know. So I guess the truth is I forgive, because I don't feel bitter or hurt by him. Something in my brain says he was just a vessel. I don't know why or how, but I wouldn't forgive him in the sense that I think the common human thinks of forgiveness. Like, I forgive you, I love you, sure, you can be in my life. That type of forgiveness. It's not like that. It's like
Mm-mm-mm.
he
It's
doesn't
not that
occupy. Yeah,
forgiveness.
no, nope. He doesn't occupy my mind or my heart, and he doesn't affect me in any way. And I'm completely indifferent to him. So I think, yes, I have. And I think I never had to tell you the truth. I really don't. Now, my sister, on the other hand, felt very different. And that's okay, because we all process so differently. But yeah, I think I have. I feel more wondering what's going to happen to his soul, because I don't even know how we have human beings that harm and hurt other
I
people.
I understand what you're saying about that you're gonna search that word like a forgiveness, because I also have a trauma. I forgive my kidnappers, but like you said before, not like, oh yes, everything's cool, I love you. No, like you
Mm-mm.
said, they don't occupy my mind in anything. I just see it from their server perspective of the situation that happens.
Yes, because I think we can detach. We don't have to be that situation, right? That doesn't identify us or qualify us, or right, at some point our hearts can heal and we can detach from it. We are not attached to that. We are not attached to that person, and we are not attached to that crime. In my
Right.
mind, I don't know if I'm right or wrong. I just know how I
Me
feel.
too. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
We're not attached of their actions. We're not attached of what they did to us. And I understand what you're saying. Some people get like hard to forgive people that do stuff to us,
Mm.
but you don't live in peace if you have that on top of you the whole time. But there's also there's different kind of forgiveness. So let's, for example, there's some stuff that I still cannot forgive, and some stuff that I already forgive. So the word forgiveness, it can be used, but some forgiveness are different than other ones.
I think so too. You're right. I could be so mad at somebody for doing something to me that really doesn't mean anything. And I'll be like, I'll stew over it for a few days. Like, I just can't believe it. and it's nothing. And then yet this murder, I think I have a hard time with forgiveness when I think there could be some reconciliation. Maybe that's it. Maybe when I know, like, well, did I try or can I reconcile? Where with that guy, there's no reconciliation.
No,
There's no
it's not.
nothing. There's no
No,
nothing.
nada.
No, I mean, I'm just thankful that I am a good human and that that I love and that I'm okay and that my mind is not possessed or controlled. You know what I mean? And I'm just thankful I'm not someone like him, you know?
Exactly. Tendai wrote to us a huge thing.
Okay.
Okay, yes. Traumatic situation make us stronger. I was working today and I found out that I am on her way to the kids' doctor appointment. My wife got into an accident. Come back from the ER not too long ago. I thank goodness everyone just dealing with minor injuries. Hearing the stories make me cry and hopefully make me a better person. I'm so sorry that so many people have to endure this level of pain. I can't even imagine dealing with the rape of and a murder or trauma.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Tendai. I'm sorry to hear about your family though, honey.
Yeah.
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 Do you guys know him?
Yeah, he's our number one fan. He hangs out with us
Oh
every
my gosh. Oh
yeah.
my gosh. That is so cool. I'm so thankful to hear his family is
Me
okay.
too.
Yes.
Mhm.
He's from Texas.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We
Yeah.
have a house in Texas, so
Yeah, we're gonna go visit him in Texas one of these days when we can travel safely or more
Okay.
safely, I should say. Um,
I
so
love that.
so Mindy, I
Wow.
want to
Hmm.
ask you. You had this experience and raised your sister, and both of you, I mean, you were still quite young, and both of you turned out incredibly. And since then, you've been helping other people. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about your website.
Okay. So my website, I started a few years ago and really didn't have any direction or know what I was doing. And then I started to write the book and I've had it. It's kind of been dormant. And this is the first time this year that I realized what I'm supposed to be doing. And I live in Blogger Central. I tell you, like half of the bloggers live in Arizona. I don't know why. They're gorgeous. They have the best fashion. They make the best cookies. They have the greatest house. Like, and so they're like, now listen, you really should do this. You should do that. I'm like, that's not what I care about, though. I don't know. Like, that's not what I'm doing. And so, anyways, this year I decided I knew what I was going to do. I really believe in conversation. And I believe if you can bring yourself to enough vulnerability to just vomit it out, vomit that story out, get it out. There is so much healing and power. It's kind of like, oh, I'm still alive. People still like me. I'm not, it's just, I think it's really powerful. So I thought, okay. And also with the book, I thought these women's stories need to be told. I don't give a fuck if she was a streetwalker. I don't care if she had 8 different semen samples on her underwear. Her testimony should be as valid as the stay-at-home mom who makes 2 million. I
yes.
don't know. I mean, why is that? Why? And so I thought I'm going to start writing about common women. Common women meaning not a movie star, not a famous person, just there are so many stories we don't know about. So many women that are walking around. I get emails from women who have watched the show. A lot of people find me through the show Shattered. Um, and it's season 1. Just I know you had mentioned it earlier, and it's season 1, episode
Episode
2 or 3. I can't remember if it's 2 or 3. It's
it's
called,
I think it's
huh?
3. I think it's episode 3.
I do too.
I
It's called
watched
The
it.
Cowboy Killer.
Yes.
Yeah, but I get a lot of messages from women, usually at midlife in their 40s, sometimes 50s, and they tell me something they've been through and they see it and then all of a sudden go, I think maybe I'm ready to forgive. I think I'm ready to move forward and let it go. Or something happened to me in 1982. My father killed my mother and this and that, but I saw your show and I think I can finally let it go. So I'm like, okay, what's going on here? I just shared a story. That's all I did. And so now I've started writing about stories about women who have either been killed, not found. I have a story that it'll come out soon. Me and my daughter have been sick, so everything put on the back burner. But a story of someone who was nearly human trafficked. Um, mhm.
Oh.
And I mean, it's incredible how she got away and through it. And so there's that story. So I just want to write stories. I just want to tell stories about women, because we have to remember there's so many women out there who feel like theirs is the only one. Who feel like they're they're horrible and they're not worthy, or just don't even know how to recover. And I really do believe that hearing a story, and this story about the woman who was nearly human trafficked, I will be using a pseudonym. She doesn't want her name out there or anything like that. And so that is okay. That's perfectly fine. I see Angeline wrote something.
Mm-hmm. Wrote your message.
Angeline, I'm so happy you're sharing your story because, it wasn't even until I think the early 2000s, around that time, that marital rape was even considered a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So before that,
Mm-hmm.
a man could rape his wife. So I'm glad you're doing good. I am so glad. But yeah, that's what I'm doing now. I'm telling stories. And I just believe that I'll be led to the right ones. I don't know how many I'll find or how many I'll get, but I want to talk about women I just want to talk about them.
That's beautiful.
You
I vibe with that on so many levels because that's why I created the Female Veterans Podcast, to tell women's stories of the women who have served, good or bad, their real true story. And I hear what you're
Yeah.
saying. A lot of them will tell me, I feel less alone. I might not be ready to share my story yet, but I'm glad that I can hear the stories. Or I feel better having shared my story. It actually started me on my process of healing. Right. So it's a beautiful thing. I was honored to have you on the Female Veterans
I
Podcast.
was honored to be there.
So you can catch Mindy on the Female Veterans Podcast as well and hear more of her story of while she served in the military. But I think that I'm very passionate about that. So I can feel your passion for sharing these stories, and I understand the real importance of sharing these stories, because otherwise, it's not I don't just share officer stories, right? I don't care what rank you were in the military, right? So that's another thing. It's like if you serve, then I want to hear your story. And I love that you're like, you're not a millionaire, a celebrity. You're the girl who lives next door, or the girl whose life took her into the gutter.
Yeah.
But you still matter. And that means the world to me, Mindy. I think it's incredible.
It is. It is.
Thank you. I also have a section. Oh, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead. Mindy, go ahead.
I was just going to say that. Okay. I was going to say, for a while, the website was called Dear Mindy because I was getting emails and people asking questions. And I thought, maybe I'll turn this into kind of like a Dear Abby, where I give them a name and I write them back. But I don't get a lot of those. I just get more people wanting to tell me something they've been through. And but I have a section on my website where they can ask me a question or just join the conversation, because I want it to be, inclusive. You know what I mean? I want anybody and everybody's story to be out there because it's important. And a lot of us just try to move forward and not think about what's happened to us, but it has happened. And so we can help one another and
Mindy,
ourselves.
I also saw in your website that you was creating like a group of women that you guys read a book and share what they think about that book, and create like a club for you to share stuff about the book, but also sharing things about life between women. And I hear that you was doing that before, maybe once a month, I think it was.
Yeah, I started it, but I didn't get great engagement at first. And I don't I don't know, unless I really am super passionate about something. Well, also the other thing too was like, gosh, well, sometimes I want to talk about a self-help book and then sometimes I want to talk about a true crime. And I don't think I knew for sure how I wanted to do that or what I wanted to do. But I love the idea because I love sharing, like if you tell me something, I might go, oh my gosh, I didn't think of it that way. Or
Right.
okay, if you tell me a perspective, I all of a sudden will have more compassion towards this idea or thought because it's coming from a human being. And so I did that. And now I haven't done a book review in a long time because I've been so into my book and my book proposal, but I am going to share more books, especially because I had to study so many that I thought were similar to mine.
You also talk about the breathing, the wildness excerpt. I don't know how to
Oh,
pronounce the right way, but you was talking about that book
yeah.
is like excellent for all of us if we read it.
Oh, you want me to read it?
No. You was promoting for a lot of
Oh,
women to read the brewing the wildness excerpt. I
oh,
think it
Braving the
is.
Wilderness.
Right, Braving the Wilderness. That you said
Yes.
that it was fantastic book, like a guide book for people, for women.
Yes, it is for sure my favorite, not self-help, but what would you call it?
Guide.
Yeah,
Mm.
I really believe so. I refer to it a lot and I refer to anything Maya Angelou has written.
Mm.
Anything that Maya Angelou has written or said, I'm like, okay. Uh, if you said it, I'm doing it. Yeah. She is my favorite and will
Me too.
always be my favorite. Yes, isn't she so good? Yeah, laughter is
Amazing.
healing.
Ooh,
But
hi,
that
Ronnie.
book is
Ronnie.
so good.
Yeah, I mean, Mindy, I just gotta say that I just admire you so much. I always have. I just always thought that
Thank you.
you had a large amount of strength, like an uncommon amount of strength, right? And I just have always thought that you were. I mean, from the time we were in our 20s, I thought you were really strong, and I just have always admired that. And I didn't even
Wow.
know half of everything that you had been through. So when I was reading the first version, I'm sure it's like incredibly different, but it was a real honor for me to get to read that because I got to see a glimpse of your development early on and
Mhm.
just kind of walk in your shoes a little bit. And so I could see where that strength came from. But even though I've always felt that you are such a strong woman, I've always been really touched by your kindness and your generous heart. So, how do you balance those two things?
Thank you, first of all. That's very sweet, Kia.
Oh,
I love that.
thank
When people say you're so kind, I'm like, I
you.
Mm.
I got some sides to me.
Oh, don't, but we
And
all do though.
I mean, you know what it is? I'm in love with honest, true women.
Me too.
And yeah, I just that's where I feel safe and that's where I feel joy and happy. That's why Kia, I cannot wait. I just want to hug you and kiss you. I just want to kiss your face.
I'm
It's
about
been
that life.
it's been like 18 years and I cannot wait for COVID to be over because I'm like gonna probably suck your cheek. I'm so excited. But
So we're gonna
I
see
don't
Kia next time with like a two red things in the cheeks.
When I go to, and you know, I
oh
still live in Arizona. I am dying to go back.
oh my
Okay.
God, yes, you have a place to stay. You too, Gloria. You have a place to
Thank
stay.
you.
You know
Thank
what
you.
it is? I don't know if it's a balance key. It's more just like, just be whatever it is. If today I'm not interested in talking to you, then I'm just not. And it's not my
Yes.
responsibility for how you perceive
Yes.
that. And then the next day I may want to chat with you and bring you flowers and be talkative and tell you, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know, Kia. I think we just grow. You know what someone told me today? We don't ever learn. We only practice.
Oh, that's
We
pretty.
don't learn. We just practice. We only practice. That's our whole, we're practicing forever and ever and ever. And I was like, oh, that's so good. Cause it's true. When do we arrive? Like, when do we arrive? Cause the second I think, the second I was pretty skinny, I got pregnant. The second I was like, I'm so this, I'm like, the next thing you know, I'm being a total bitch. Like, I don't know. I think it's just be authentic, whatever that is. You could be
Yes,
really nice right
yes,
now. And then 20 minutes later, someone could think, she's nasty. Like, she's a
yes,
bitch. I don't
yes.
know. Just be authentic, whatever you feel. Um, just be whatever it is. When, it changes. That's it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. You like it or not,
Yeah.
take it or leave it.
Yeah.
I feel that is like our mantra at London Real, is to bring your authenticity to the table and be willing to be vulnerable and just open up, and share value with the world, right? And
Yeah,
so we have
Yeah.
55 minutes, but I have
55
one
minutes.
one more question for you,
Okay.
because I want to respect your time.
Okay.
And that question is, how do you help these women that come to you with trauma? Like, what are some of the advice or the guidance that you're able to give them?
Um, a lot of them don't come and ask me for advice with that. They just want to reach out to me and tell me something. And I think that however they, like I said, a lot of them find me through that show or, through a video or something like what we're doing now. And so I think I've already given them something, because if they're reaching out to me, they're drawn to something. But I think it's just more the acknowledging them, just acknowledging. I think it's so important to respond to every person. I mean, it's not like I have a ton of people following me, but like, I think that if someone goes out of their way to contact you, that is a privilege and that's an honor. And
Yes.
and you show them love by acknowledging them and
Hmm.
responding.
Yes.
And I like to show up. I really love real relationships, and I like building real ones. I'd always choose a very small crowd and get close to you than a large crowd. And so I want that. If someone says, can we have coffee? I'm going to find a way to have coffee with them. Or I just think whatever I can give that is good for me, that doesn't hurt me, then I want to. That's just, I think, acknowledging people.
Mm.
Yes. That's very cool. Yeah, very cool. All right, time to wrap it up. Thank you so much, Mindy, to be in Hot Topics today.
Mm. Thank you so much, Gloria. You're so beautiful. It was so nice to meet you.
Thank you, my love. It's an honor to have you. Your beautiful story is very powerful. Make us think that we need to value more our parents, that you don't know tomorrow and life is too
Mhm.
short. And you always love your mom the way she was, no matter
Mhm.
what. And you still honor her today. So I really love that about you.
It's beautiful. And before you go,
Thank
Mindy,
you.
before we put you in the green room, tell us where we can find you if we want to
Yes.
get in touch with you.
Okay. My website is perfect. Oh, yeah. You're so good. Go to mindyjaffar.com. That's my website. And there's multiple places you can connect. One of them, you can click on my top 5 true crime memoirs and you would leave your email address. Or there's a box that says join the conversation. Or yes, you can go to my Instagram, Mindy. What is that? It's not a dash, but it's like the lower dash,
Underscore?
Jaffar.
Underscore.
Yeah.
Underscore Mindy underscore Jaffar, Mindy Renee Jaffar. And if you just Google, it'll come up. Like my name will
Yes.
come up, and you can email me, text me, message me, whatever. Connect any way you want.
That's awesome.
Oh man,
Yeah.
it's
Thank
been
you guys so much for
amazing.
having me.
It's been amazing. It's been so good to see you again. I always
Mm,
enjoy getting to look at that gorgeous
you
face of
too.
yours and spend time in your energy. I love it. So thank you so much for being a guest and sharing your story.
Thank
I
you.
love you.
Thank you.
Bye, ladies. Love you.
Bye. Wow,
I
what a
told you she was
story.
amazing. amazing. She just,
Yeah.
she never ceases to amaze me and the things that she's done. I mean, first of all, 20 years in the military, I mean, I couldn't have done it. Okay. I couldn't have done it. So
Wow, yes.
that
That
alone,
alone.
actually, when she was retiring, here's a funny story. When she was retiring, I was like, man, Mindy's retiring. Should I have stayed in? That felt fast. Like, but when I was in the Navy, I was like, when is my 5 years active duty up? Okay, because thank God I only have 3 years in active reserve. So thank God it's only going to be 8 years. I couldn't do it. So, so yeah, I respect the fact that she did 20 years in the military. It's not easy, but it does refine you. Any amount of time you spend in the military absolutely refines you. And oh, hey, Johnny, thanks for
Johnny
tuning in.
Parcero.
We're about to wrap it up. So,
Yeah.
aw, thank
Ah,
you. I appreciate you. You are appreciated.
Johnny.
Very
He's
sweet.
cool.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So, well, it's about that time that we wrap it up. I want
Yes.
to say thank you to everyone for tuning in and spending an hour of your life with us. We appreciate you. And to everyone who catches the replay, there's so many of you watching these replays, especially in Europe. Shout out to Europe right now.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So we really
Kisses.
appreciate you. We love you from wherever you are in Europe that you're spending this hour with us. Tune in on Wednesdays. If you're locked down, we have our guest from Europe. And if you're doing something incredible and you are in Europe and you would like to be a guest, send us a message to our direct messages. Oh, hey.
Hi, Rahul.
So we really appreciate you guys. Don't forget to set your notifications so that you can see when we come live. If you are watching on YouTube, hit subscribe, share, hit that like button for sure. If you like, our red lips or our hair today, anything we're wearing, you like the topic, you like our guest, you thought she was incredible because she is, hit that like button, set your notification so you know when we come live because we just pop on. But if you want to catch us regularly, it is Wednesdays at 3 p.m.
Easter
Eastern
time.
time, and that is noon Pacific time. And we are also on Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. Pacific and 9 p.m. Eastern time. And anywhere in between then in the United States, you got to figure it out and just tune in. But we appreciate you. We love you guys. I'm Kia Baker, the host of the Female Veterans Podcast and the upcoming series Women Warrior Stories and Success Coach at London Real Academy. And I am always next to the sensation of the United States and South America, the most colorful and amazing woman I have known. She is an artist. She plays the piano. Okay, you didn't know that, right? She plays the piano. She does a lot of really cool rituals, and she's just a lot of fun to hang around with. And her name is Gloria Goldberg.
Ah, Kia, you make my day today. I've been crying all day. This is like, oh, a rejoy.
That's what we do. That's what we do. Just try to bring some joy.
Oh, when I hear that, I don't even believe it, but I need
Oh,
to believe.
you need to believe it, okay?
I need to believe it. Well, she just said, I'm Gloria Goldberg, the founder of the podcast Unbreakable Life with Glory. We're going to talk about depression, anxiety, and PTSD, natural way and holistic way to always make you feel better. And also the founder and the host of the bilingual show, The Gloria, that's on Fridays at 2 p.m. Eastern time. That one Friday in Spanish, one Friday is in English. And tomorrow I have Alejandro Megas. He's magical. We're going to talk about depression. We're going to talk about how your mind can kill you. So I'm so happy. And that's it for today.
Have a great night, you guys.
Have a great night. Have a great night. See you next Wednesday. Bye-bye. Oh, see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. The Bilingual Show. Bye.